Yep. Yes, welcome to our community call for December. So I think everyone in the Zoom call at least are familiar names and we have seen each other before. But then if there's anyone on YouTube that's watching us, yeah, I'm Faye. I'm community manager here at Tribe 29 and I will be moderating our community call for this month. Right. So before we start, just some usual reminders. So this call will be recorded and streamed on YouTube, and just keep yourself muted when not talking. But then we will have an opportunity to talk and talk about your request and all. So don't worry about that. And just feel free to type in your questions in the chat or in Zoom or on the YouTube stream. So I will just need to have some time to go through them. Right. So let's see if there's anything. Yeah, hello to those who just joined. Silke, I'm seeing Hawks and Michael Frank. Hello there. Yes, so to start with, just some updates from the community. So since the last time we saw each other, we have 2 new community heroes. So I'm not sure if they're here, if they joined us on YouTube. But yeah, Martin Schwartz and Tosh. So just want to give a quick shout out to you guys. Thanks for all the help you provided to the Checkmk community. So for those who are not familiar with the Community Hero Badge, so we have this badge where those who provided 50 solutions in the forum, so they will get this badge. And out of almost 3,900 users, there are only 5 people who have this. So this badge is pretty special. So yes, so thanks to all our community heroes and thanks Martin and Tosh for your continuous support in the community. And I have another news for everyone. So now we have a date for the Checkmk conference number 8. So save the date for next year. It will be on May 3rd to 5th, 2022. And this will be a physical conference in the Paulaner am Nocherberg here in Munich. So this will be a mix of the physical event and also there will be an online live stream. And I think we will be sharing more details soon on our website. So please stay tuned on that. Yeah, and this will follow whatever Corona regulations will be in place in that time. And I think right now the minimum requirement will be a 2G plus event to comply with the German regulations. Yeah, so pretty excited about this. For the past 2 years, it has always been an online event. So hopefully this time it will really happen now and we will see each other again. And me, I haven't been to a physical conference yet, so I'm really looking forward to this one. Right, so today, our topic is creating dashboards in Checkmk, and we have Marcel Arends from the product management team who will be joining us today and leading this discussion about the dashboards and, of course, giving us live demos. So you might remember that in the conference this year, we had the topic about creating dashboards in Checkmk 2.0. So this is following through on that. And yeah, we will continue that discussion. And yeah, Marcel will help you build your own dashboards live. So maybe you can also try joining us and implement it on your system right now. But yeah, Marcel will help guide you on that. So in the forum, we had the poll. So we asked you, what is the use case you want to see for this demo? And the use case that won was the network monitoring use case. And I think, yeah, that's one of the things that Marcel will focus on for today. So yes, Marcel, are you ready?
No, but I think I will never be ready.
So right. Yeah, so I'm just gonna, hold on. I'm just gonna leave this slide here. Maybe you can walk us through our agenda for your demo.
Yeah. Welcome from my side also. So I'm pretty excited to talk tonight for 2 hours. I have no idea what will happen, and I'm pretty sure we will find out together. And let's see what the next 2 hours bring to us. So at first, we want to make a short recap. So dashboarding in Checkmk, what's the history? What did we do in the conference this year? For those of you who didn't took a look into the workshop or the the video that we made, and then use this what's the result of this workshop to get started into our workshop today. And you made a choice, network monitoring it is, and I made some thoughts about this, or I had some thought about this, and I want to build that with you together. So I'm dependent on you, so you need to give me good input, and I can tell you how to achieve that, or if it's possible, and how could we do that. And of course, if you have questions or if you have suggestions or stuff, please ask it at the time it came to your mind. I'm pretty sure Faye will mention that if you have any questions or suggestions, if I don't see it by myself, because I do not look on the YouTube channel, live stream, on the comments. And at the end, we will have some feedback because we want to provide some predefined dashboards in Checkmk 2.1. And to make them as useful as possible, we are dependent on your feedback, of course. How do you like the dashboards that we created maybe today? And maybe the examples I have in my bag, in my pocket for today. I will show you later. So that's the agenda, pretty much. I'm still very excited. So maybe we can start with the short history of dashboarding in Checkmk. And I see I can share my screen. So let's take a look how that works. Please be patient with me. And please share your thoughts, as I said, as soon as they come into your mind. So this is maybe not familiar to you until now, but when I joined Checkmk or Tribe 29, the dashboarding in Checkmk has been very different, so to say. And we always provided built-in dashboards, and these dashboards have been static for most of the users, because most of the users, I guess, didn't copy them and made their own dashboards out of it. And that it had a lot of limitations. So a lot of years have been going by, and between 1.6 or Checkmk 1.6 and Checkmk 2.0, we decided we need to improve our dashboarding, because it has a very, very good fundament, a very good base that we could build on, and we can make it look better and make more use out of it, especially comparing to other competitors. And we started to implement some dashlets. I already, or Matthias presented in the conference. Some of them are you seeing here right now. So if you take a look at these 3 dashlets in the middle of the top screen, you see the gorges, for example, that we added in 2.0. We also added some other stuff like single metrics that you can see on the top left, sorry, single metric time series that you could display, and some other stuff. And in the workshop, we built a Linux host dashboard as an example how it works. So, but as it is in life, we had limited time in our workshop, and we had to make it as fast as possible. So this one, that's what you see now, is a bit of an example, a bit different than from the workshop in the conference, but it's, the essence is the same. So this is where we start. I think it looks okay, isn't it? But Yeah, I think it is, but it could look better. And when we start now, we could build a dashboard by ourselves. So a network dashboard, for example, or we could improve our dashboard and say, okay, I don't want to look at a single host, of a single Linux host, but I want to look at, I will close that. We don't need it anymore. I want to look at a bunch of hosts. So in my demo, I'm pretty much limited on Linux hosts. I have only 4. I'm sorry for that, but I guess it will do the job. So now you can see an overview of Linux hosts. So more than one host. And this shows a bit more what Checkmk now is capable of. So just some information and at the edge. I'm using currently a daily build of the upcoming 2.1. So don't worry if you see some dashlets that you don't know of because you're using Checkmk 2.0. They will come up in 2.1. Maybe not exactly in this fashion, but most likely it will be this way. So in this dashboard, we have several elements. And if you worked in the past with dashboarding in Checkmk, you may noticed some things. The first one is a dashboard in Checkmk is not scrollable. And this is for a good reason, because if you need to scroll, it's most likely that the information should be displayed on 2 dashboards. And the second thing is, it's one of the capabilities of Checkmk, but also a flaw that is auto scaling. And I will show you now. I hope your screen can display that. I will make it a bit bigger. And if you build a dashboard, you need to ensure that your dashboard looks pretty much the same on a big screen, like mine now, or on a smaller screen, like this one. So this is one of the first things you need to ensure when you're building a dashboard. And it's not that easy as it looks like sometimes, but it has the advantage that you can build a dashboard that always uses the complete screen. And when we go inside here, we can also add some links. And here we will I will show that later. And you can go to a specific host, like my workstation. And then you go to another dashboard. So we will take a look at how you can inherit other dashboards to a major dashboard or to an overview dashboard. So this dashboard just shows my Linux system. It's a bit different than we saw before, or we saw in the workshop in the conference. And I will come back to that later in detail when I will talk about some things that you may know, but didn't know. Let's see. So I'm not sure, Faye, do we have questions already? Or
None yet.
not yet?
Mm-hmm.
So how many people are here? It's 15 in the Zoom call. It's how many are on Google?
There are 30 watchers
30
on
people.
YouTube.
So 45 people and no one has a question. So why are you here? What did you expect? What did you expect that I do on this session? Because I'm dependent on you. I want to show you something that you are interested in and that you want to see. And obviously, I need to ask you, what do you want to see? Beside of building a dashboard for networking monitoring. So maybe I triggered someone with questions, and if not, I would go just in medias res and just start building the dashboard. Maybe the questions raise up when I started. So most of you know maybe already the 2.0 has 3 buttons. The setup, we don't care about the setup today. The monitor button, which opens all the views and dashboards. Don't look at these two. We will building these two from scratch. And of course, you have the customize menu. So in customize, we will have our focus today, and especially for the dashboard. So I will open the dashboards, and here you can add and create new dashboards, or just copying existing dashboards, built-in dashboards, and modify them. So this is one thing that you need really to consider. If you want to build a dashboard, the first question you have to answer yourself is there maybe a dashboard that is fitting my requirements, but not perfectly? For example, if the Linux hosts overview, which I showed before, would fit your requirements, but not perfectly because you want to have another information at another place, you could just copy it from the built-in. We just, was heißt so tun in English? To
pretend.
Yes, thank you. We just pretend now that these dashboards have been built in, and you just could copy the dashboard and adjust it to your needs. That's the first question you need to answer yourself. But maybe you say, okay, there's nothing to start from, and I want to create a new dashboard. I already shown that in the workshop, but I show it again. Maybe this time a little bit slower than on the conference. So we have this menu here. And in the first selection of this menu, we need to decide if we want to create a dashboard for several hosts, for example, for several network devices. Just came up with that idea. Or if you want to create a dashboard for a specific device. This doesn't need to be a specific device in terms of my host 1.3, but a specific device that could be generic. So in first place, we want to create a generic dashboard for several devices. So, okay, no restrictions, and that's it. Okay. And we want to create a network dashboard. I will call it my fancy superpower network dashboard. I have, by the way, no idea if there's a character limit for the unique ID, maybe. And I will call it, to distinct it from other dashboards that I created earlier, I will create, it would be network, no, not now, network bandwidth, overview of just network overview. Okay. And now I can choose which workplace or which topic I want to use. So if we go back, I hope I don't destroy anything, to the menu, you see several topics like the overview, the problems, applications on the right, inventory, and so on. And you can choose, if you create a dashboard, from one of these topics or 2 hidden topics. So one of these would be workplace, a hidden topic, and the other one would be other. We just keep it workplace. I can find it easy in this case. And then we add some context filters, and now we have the first thing that that we need to think about if we create a new dashboard. the second thing we think about, and so on. But one thing we need to consider, because if we open this dashboard, it will be a generic dashboard for the network overview. So if you are in the situation that you have several hundred network devices, you don't want to make a dashboard for several hundred network devices, isn't it? You maybe want to take a look at a group of network devices that is has 5, 15, or 30, or 50 hosts in it. So you need to filter, and you want to change easily. And if you want to filter, you can here choose which filters I want to provide for this dashboard. So maybe we could say, okay, I want to filter maybe by a host name. What else could we filtering? What else could we filtering? Host groups. Sounds good to me. Several host groups we could filter. We could filter, of course, the site. Oops. Just one site. And we could filter the labels. Maybe one another. Which one did I forget? Who has been watching me quite close and has been thinking with me?
Maybe we can answer some questions.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we have one. Maybe from Thomas first. Can new topics be created by simply typing? And is it possible to have subtopics?
To be honest, I tried that in preparation of this community call. So, but the answer sadly is no. If you want to make a new topic like network, oops, is that a topic? It's already a topic. What could we use? Linux? No, we cannot. Currently, we cannot create new topics, and we never have been able to create subtopics. So you may know that from other places, but in Checkmk it's not possible to create subtopics. So the subtopic would be, I have the overview topic, and below the overview I would have a subtopic called dashboards, for example, or network, or servers. And this is currently not possible. But what is possible is, so you had time to think about it. What most common filter did we forget? So nobody has an idea?
I don't know, the IP address?
Oh, that would filter to a particular host.
Ah, okay.
But what about tags?
Sounds good.
So I think most of you are using host tags, so we should add that to our list of filters. Okay, I will not stress that anymore. You could add a lot of filters in here. Okay, and say if you open the dashboard, you have these filters already selected in the filter list. I will come back to that later when I can show that, and you are able to make your adjustments here while using the dashboard. And I saw Frank, sorry again, Michael asked if we can use custom attributes, and it seems like we can. I didn't try it, to be honest, but if I type in custom host attribute, I can add it. Okay, I'm having a good day. I have no custom attribute, sadly, but I could select it in here if you have a custom attribute, and then enter the matching text here. I will remove that because I have simply no custom attribute. And last but not least, you could, we will come back to that later, add some required context filters. So a context filter that is required to make this dashboard work. We don't need it something right now. I will pre-filter this one to network, which you also can do. Yeah, you can make a pre-filter in the dashboard itself. And then I guess you all hoped for that since 5 minutes. We can click on save and go to dashboard. And okay, we have an empty dashboard. It's not.
Can we answer some questions? So I think this might be more of a general one. So
Yes.
T. Lind asked, is there a way to automatically have a dashboard start so we can have it show like a dashboard on a wall?
So I'm not sure if I understood the question correctly. You want to display the dashboard on the wall without login and just a dashboard on a big screen. So maybe he or she is answering while I'm go further.
Yeah, Tim Lin. So if I put a monitor on a wall and have it show a dashboard.
Yeah, that's possible. It's still possible. The information about this is a bit hidden right now on the website. I saw a couple of days ago. Since we use long URIs on our links, you can just simply create a user that is able to see all hosts and services and that is able to open dashboards, and just create a link with the secret and the username in it, or the password, and then put it on a screen on a big screen. And the reason why you need to create a new user is that you provide the password in the link, and you don't want to use a user that is able to configure things or to manipulate things, obviously. And Michael is absolutely correct. You could also create your starting page in the user profile. So I will do that later to show you. So what is happening? Let's take a look. Oh yeah, network overview is here. If I click on Checkmk, I get to my starting page. And if you want to change this starting page, you just go to your user profile. I could do it right now. And set a custom link in here. We will do that later. And because I want to work on this empty dashboard. So are there furthermore questions?
Yeah, I think there's one more on YouTube.
Okay.
Is there an option to use variable within your dashboard? For example, one dashboard, but the variable is a tag, host name, or label.
I'm not sure if you. So the thing I will try to answer while guessing what you want to accomplish. So I guess you want to accomplish that you have a generic dashboard, and you want to change the context of this dashboard to display another host, for example, or another group. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, the person is on YouTube and there might be some lag.
Yeah,
might
no
be some
problem.
delay.
I have time, and I will show you here. So what you accomplish with variables is usually that you have some elements in the dashboard, and if you change the variable, different things will be displayed. For example, you have what I mentioned earlier. You have your dashboard for a single host, and you want to change the host name that you want to display. And you could use variables for that, or you could just use the filter and say, I want to display it not for the access point MS01, but for MS02. So I guess in the usual way, you are not able to use variables in here because it's inherited in the dashboarding of Checkmk. You can just use the filter. But we will see that later. So who was asking that?
Bazen 13. Oh, he updated. He said, yes, that is correct. I think about what you were asking.
Okay, so come back later in the session and tell me if this answers your question when we are a bit further in the process. It's an interesting question because I have to translate it. So let's add the first things, and I have to. Was heißt spicken auf Englisch? I have to take a look at my second screen to see what I wanted to do. So we add our first thing, and the first thing is one of the new dashlets that we will add in the Checkmk 2.1. It's the host state summary. We have two of them. The first one is the host state, and it's obviously for a single host. So we don't want to use that here because this dashboard is for several hosts. We want the host state summary. Click it. And if we would minimize this one, the configuration of this dashlet is pretty easy. You just say what you want to display, which state, and you click on save. I want to do a little bit more. I want to say it's not. Guess what? I will show you. Save. And now I saved my this. If we go up here, we see here hosts up 21 of 27. Perfect. Now I know that 6 hosts are not up. But I do not know why. Okay, but since this title is not interesting for me, I will call that devices. So if we see that very minimal, simple, boring dashboard, we would like to add several other things. So what would be next if we see the app devices? What would we want to see in the network dashboard next to the app devices? I know it's just a question.
Well, I'm thinking about interfaces, but it's probably going to get a little more complicated when we are thinking about interfaces here.
Isn't it? Is that so? So a colleague of mine is using to say that you should monitor all your interfaces. And with saying all your interfaces, I mean all your interfaces, not only the ones which are up or which have a problem or might have a problem, important interfaces or major important interfaces and minor important interfaces, but not useless interfaces, but all interfaces. So if we can display which devices are up or okay, we could also display the service state summary and take a look which services are okay. Would that fit your thought, Robin?
Yeah, at least it's in the right direction, I think.
Okay, so let's take a look. We could add the same thing for services. Okay, the selected state is okay. And maybe we just add a custom title for here because, okay, services with a non-capitalized S. But the K should be bigger. Save. Nice. But useless. Why? Well,
we don't have any context there.
Yes. That's absolutely correct. So I now see that 535, that's pretty much services for my small laptop, of 556 services are okay, but I have no idea what these services are. And since I'm focusing on a network overview, I maybe rather want to display, you could only show graphs from interfaces which having other state than okay. Michael, that was a citation from Michael, and I want to go in a similar direction. So if we can filter here, isn't it? A service, and since we are on a network overview, we maybe want to show the interfaces. Since I'm focusing on OK services, interfaces, and want to display the OK interfaces. So now I already know from these numbers that 10 interfaces are not OK. That's much more than I know before. But since I said that we want to monitor all interfaces, I could do something else. First thing, I can just copy elements. Makes your life much easier. Okay, now I have 2 times the same information. That's not so good. So let's change this one. And I want to make a suggestion. Let's display all interfaces that are up. How do we do that? We just filter for the summary and take a look in which summary service the string up is in here. Let's take a look what happens. Okay, it's 300 of 1 and 1 of 423 interfaces are up. And of these 301, we have 269 interfaces that are okay. So we have 5 interfaces that have a problem of our up and running interfaces. That's good to know, because my down interfaces shouldn't be critical or warning, because they don't do anything. But to be sure, let's take a look, because maybe an interface is down and shouldn't be down. So we do the same thing. We added summary. We added, and we take a look for not for up but for down. Click on save and take a look again. Okay. So now I have 122 interfaces and 3 of them have a problem. Okay, the title is wrong. I will fix that. Down.
So some
Okay.
questions. Okay, we have some questions from
Yes.
Thomas. And if you click on those state dashlets, do you get to a view listing the stuff one displayed with it, or is this not?
I have no idea. I will take a look. Service search. And now I'm getting a lot of services. My guess is, as I said before, so we are working currently on a daily version, on an unstable version. That's why I called this instance unstable. My guess is it should, if you click on this one, on these, it should display only the 122 interfaces that I'm filtering here. So I cannot tell you for sure, but that's what my guess is. Thomas asked a question, and this will be in Checkmk 2.1 Enterprise Edition or Raw Edition 2. Currently, most of these new dashlets are integrated only in the Enterprise Edition. That's because of our integration into Grafana right now. So on the Raw Edition, you have been able, or you are now able to use Grafana for that. That's why we distinct to the Enterprise Edition, and make that work here first. And Michael asked for graphs from the interfaces which having another state, then okay, I will come to that later. I don't think that a raw number isn't suitable for that. And there's one last question from Michael from my side. So in Zoom, what I can see is the regex, so the regular expressions supporting all fields in dashboard. I'm not sure what you mean when you say in all fields in a dashboard. So there are obvious places where this is not supported. For example, the custom title. But yeah, if the filter is supporting regular expressions, then you can use it. And as it is always in Checkmk, on some fields it's possible to use that, and some other fields it's not. So the service exact match, obviously, it's not possible to enter regex in here. But it's in most places, like it is in most views. So now we have the problem of the alignment. So okay, we added 3 dashlets that look pretty much the same. We could add another dashlet. So if we take a look at interfaces or a network overview, in this case of my 27 devices, there are some things that we want to take a look at if something is wrong. And as the same colleague who said that all interfaces should monitor said, there is some metric in Checkmk for each interface that should always be 0. And if it's not 0, except for access points, because Wi-Fi is not as stable as a cable, these metrics should be 0. And if they are not 0, you want to know that and you want to fix the problem. Could any one of you think of what I want to say? No, doesn't anybody know what I want to say? Oh, Robin raises his hand. Robin, you are my hero.
I don't want to interrupt all the time, but yeah, as the other guys are quite quiet, that's of course the error rates. You don't want any error rates on your network interfaces, especially if you're in the LAN.
Yes, that's correct. And maybe we can trigger someone else to interact with us if we make some mistakes during our session. So, but I think it's no mistake to add the error rates into a dashboard for network stuff. So as we are on a network dashboard that should display several hosts, we need to use the combined graph because the performance graph is for a single host. So we add a combined graph, and we know that already, so I'm not commenting that. We need to filter for interfaces, obviously. So I want to have all my interfaces, and I want to have lines, and I want to see which graph do I want to see, the errors. Oops, I have 3 of them. So that's one thing that we maybe will work on in the future. So now I have to guess which one is the right one for me now. There's simply no other way, but I'm prepared. I know it's the third one. Usually you have to choose between 1 or 2 entries. So this is a problem we know, but we cannot fix easily. And but I guess you're not building dashboards every day, all day long. So let's take a look at the last 4 hours, and we have the lines because I want to see each interface for itself, and save. So now we have a good looking graph in here, and we see nothing.
You need to change it to interface.
I need to change what to
The
interface?
service bracket, the service filter.
Ah, a typo. So, you see, it's working. If I make a mistake, someone else is interrupting me.
You just have to look into the chat.
Okay, it was not your idea. Thank you, CCOX, for this suggestion. So now we have a problem. Checkmk has a limitation because of performance. I know that most of your environments are capable to display more than 100 metrics at the same time in one graph. But to be sure, we limited it to 100 metrics. So if I have a I go out here, 27 devices with 301 interfaces, you can guess how much metrics we want to display here now. So we need to see a workaround. Hello, Martin, by the way. Just noticed it right now. Need to find a workaround right now, and you will face this problem at some point, and when you need to find a workaround for that. And my workaround suggestion would be we filter, since we want to display errors from these 300 interfaces. I guess that more than 280 have no error packets at the moment. So how can I get rid of these interfaces that display useless information for me? Does someone has an idea? Or I will come up with someone.
You will come up with an idea or with someone who has to answer?
I have an idea. Yes, Michael. 100 points. So let's filter for the service state. Yeah, on the output, I could filter that too. But let's go for the service state because it's more easy right now. And we just exclude the pending and the OK services. And save it and take a look what happens. Oh, now I can see something. And what I just did is that we display errors, the error metrics on the interfaces that are actually not okay. So maybe this goes more into the direction that Michael suggested earlier. He wanted to see the problem interfaces. And the errors is one thing that could be the reason why the interface is in a warning or critical state. Another one could be, I copy that because I'm lazy. Another one could be what could it be? I'm not asking questions right now. The broadcast or multicast. So usually there's no problem in receiving or relaying broadcast or multicast messages, but in some cases it could be a problem, like these cases where we have a denial of service attack. So let's take a look at the broadcast and multicast packets on these problematic devices. And to make it complete, we could also take a look at the packets. And when we do that, let's take a look. Which one could it be? Yes, on first guess. So now we already have 3 metrics in here, and we see here that we have input discards on one interface and at the same time multicast or broadcast messages on interface. So we could go from here a little bit further if we would add a link in here with another dashboard. So I have more information, and now it's on me to show something with the average scatter plot. That's completely out of reason and completely random. No, it's not. But if you're facing the problem with the errors we had earlier, so you want to display more than 100 metrics, and you need urgently to find a way to display these metrics, you could use the average scatter plot, not only for this reason, but also for this reason. The advantage of the scatter plot is that you can show a absurdly amount of metrics in one time series graph. The second thing is that you get a point for each metric, and you can see the median or the average of these metrics, and see the spikes on your, for example, input and output bandwidth. So just use a random service to have a limited selection. And here the input bandwidth. Okay, I don't want to see today. I want to see the last 4 hours. I want to see the last 24 hours because I want to show you something. And when I click on, obviously I forgot something, the filter interface. So for those of you who didn't recognize it until now, this is also a regular expression. So this is an infix match. I could extend this and say it should start with interface, the service name, or I could say the interface should end here. So since I would not get anything if I would do that, I keep it here and go over here. Looks nice. You see a gap where I was asleep and my internet connection broke. But you see also here a lot of information and a lot of dots. So if you go to one dot, I know it's so I'm not moving right now. If you go to a dot, you see what's happening, what was happening there, and which interface it made. So if you and also you can select or deselect metrics from this graph. So I now excluded the input bandwidth, so the actual points, and just displaying the mean and the median. So as you can see, the mean is quite different than the median in this case. And all of you know it's not enough to display the input bandwidth, so I will display the output bandwidth too. You saw it, I just copied it, and interface 1. Let's take a look for the output bandwidth. Luckily, it's just one entry. So we have the same in here. And as you can see, it takes a little bit. No. It will be better when I would not have thousands of browser windows open. But I think it's pretty fast for 201 interface that is displaying metrics in here. Okay.
Marcel, can we answer some questions from YouTube?
Always.
So yeah, this one, it was from a bit earlier. I think Reinhard is trying to follow through your instructions, and he's kind of lost. He's completely lost his head. His dashboard seemed to have context for a single host only, not of a group of hosts. So what did I do wrong? He's asking.
Yeah, you are in a deadlock right now. So I'm sorry to say that, but that's your main problem. If you go back to the dashboard and the properties, what type of dashboard? I need to drink something. Your dashboard is, you can see it in here. So this dashboard is show information of single. No, it's not. It's not restricted to show a specific object. If you made the wrong choice at the beginning, you have just one chance. I see it, one chance to correct that by your hand in the configuration file on the file system. So you cannot change the dashboard afterwards in the front end from a generic dashboard for several hosts into a single dashboard for a single host, or vice versa. So if you did that wrong, I'm sorry to say that, but you have to start from scratch and start again. But what can I say? But I'm thinking of providing these dashboards as an MKP, for example, and provide it in the forum. Faye and I spoke about that earlier before the session. I cannot make any promises, but maybe it's possible. If it's possible, I will provide them afterwards in the forum. And then you could take your time and take a look. How did I do that? And try to reproduce that on your own. Also, you could just watch the video later on. And if I'm not too fast, maybe you can follow them. I hope it's okay.
And we have another one from Bazen. Oh, he updated. He gave some follow-up from his question earlier. So it was the same, it was from the same person. So his follow-up was like, for example, we have multiple customers and want to create one generic dashboard, but customer only want to see their machines, and I don't want to build one for every customer.
Yes. That's a bit interrupting to the workflow, but let's take a look at that. So I told you earlier that we can use variables in many ways, but not as most of you are used to that. So variables are inherited of dashboards and in Checkmk itself. So if you change here one of the variables, or as we say, filter elements, you can display different information. So if you want to not display your whole network, but your access points only, you just click your access points, apply, and you will see completely different data. So this dashboard is already a generic dashboard for your needs. You could just get out your access point and display your switches. You see a different pattern right now and different information. And to come back to your question, you could obviously and also add, if you have your customers in specific sites, filter to a site, or on the managed service edition, of course, you could also filter by the customer. That's working out of the box in Checkmk. So I hope this answers a bit the question. You can give me feedback if this does not answer the question, and I will get to that later again.
Right. So maybe one last before we go back to your flow. Yeah, it's from Bazen again, but then I think it's about a different topic now. It's about the graphs that you're building. So is it an option to show in graph the % of used file system of all hosts? For example, 10 file system are below 40% use, 16 service are between 40 to 80%, and 2 are above 80%.
No. I thought about it since weeks. Well, I think about that problem for weeks, how to display file systems and how to sort them. I think I found a good solution. I showed you earlier, but didn't mention it explicitly. Maybe we can go back to that later because it's a little bit off topic, but it's also not off topic because it's a question from you regarding dashboarding. So I hope we will have time to get into such things later on. How you can achieve your requirements and see such information.
Marcel,
Because
can
it's in a time series graph, it's not it's not possible so easy.
Marcel, can you do it with a bar chart?
A bar chart. Yes, you could do it in a bar chart, but not sorted.
Yeah.
So if you go, I will. No, I will not make a sneak preview of the dashboard. But I could show you this one. So okay, since we are already on a topic and in the middle of that, let's talk about that. What Martin was suggesting was making a bar chart like we have here. And this particular bar chart shows the CPU utilization of my Linux servers. And you can see my local host is working pretty hard to make a good stream and a Zoom session. And the site with several hundred of services. Bye, Michael. Thank you to have you here. But it's not suitable for the file system. Why is it? Because you cannot sort this kind of information, and it makes also pretty much not sense. Because if you want to display your 300 terabyte file system next to your 500 megabyte boot section, you will never see any difference in your boot section. But I have to say, I optimized this dashboard for, I'm looking at currently at full HD. So if you would have a monitor which displays WQHD, would like more like this. And then you can see on the bottom my solution for the file systems. So I go back a little bit in here and scroll a bit down. I could make it for you bigger. It looks pretty ugly then, but no. Just for some feedback, can everybody see the big picture, the major point of this example?
Yes.
So when you want to have a sorted view of some things that are not in a metric, you could still make a view with a table. This table looks a bit different. In this table, I made I filtered for my file systems, and I displayed the performeter. So performeter is just a little graph or a little visual in Checkmk, and this one is sortable. And it's pretty much on the downside here. You see a lot some minor mistakes in the sorting, but the major point is correct. So here I can see that my my root file system on my example workstation is 88% full, and next one is the 45% file system. And this is a way better approach to display the data, especially if you have such much file systems as I have in this overview. Because in the graph you would be lost, and in the bar chart you would be lost. It's not sortable, but you most likely want to see the file systems that are the most used and most likely to be the next that is having a problem. Does that Does that answer the question? Sorry, I was laughing because Martin said that it will be fixed tomorrow. Of course, it will be fixed tomorrow. That there are some glitches in the sorting.
Right, so he's on YouTube, so yeah, there might be some delay. But then from Reinhardt again, I think a follow-up from his question about that group of hosts. So his dashboard, my dashboard has no restriction on specific object, just as yours. However, I cannot add service summary. Is it because of the Checkmk Free Edition?
Yes, it is. It's because of the Checkmk Free Edition, and you most likely are using the stable version. Maybe you joined later, so for everyone who's watching at the moment, what I'm showing here is some things that I'm showing here are not available in the 2.0 version, but will be available in the 2.1 version. So these dashlets for the states are some examples that are not available currently in the 2.0 version and will not be in the future, but it will be available in the 2.1 version. And the same goes for the host inventory. I will come back to that later. So, whoa, it's 7:05. Time is running. So we know from the main dashboard some dashlets that I find quite useful, and I would like to know. Please comment if you find them useful too, or if you strongly disagree. So one of them is the percentage of service problems. So we know that from the main dashboard, and the main dashboard is of course displaying all the services, and we are here focusing on interfaces, and that's exactly what I want to do. So I want to filter. Again, some things are pretty much the same every time. I want to filter for that, and let's take a look what the title is. Maybe you don't need another title. Oh, there's no title. That's the best, because I clicked here. That login. Thomas is asking if I can use those hexagons in own dashboards. I know that hexagons are splitting the community into at least two groups, as the world globe did before. But to answer your question, yes, we can. I just need to find it. So can someone help me? What it was? Site overview, percentage, user notifications, that.
I think it's the host and server statistics.
It's the site overview. It's not a host and server statistics, and we don't need a filter because we are filtering live in the dashboard. And now we have to place it somewhere, and I would like to place this dashlet on the bottom. Let's take a look. Yeah, now it's working. That's a good idea. We can, and as you can see, now you get your nice shiny hexagons with your coloring. So anyone who's wondering what the blue color means, these hosts are in downtime because I cannot fetch their information. The bestagons. So I'm happy to make you happy. And what I wanted to use too is the notification timeline. Or the alert timeline. A service please interrupt me if you think that something is pretty good or completely useless. I'm open to both things. So let's make it a little bit smaller because it has not to be that big, and integrate this one in, into the line. So that's good. We had no problem alerts in the last 4 hours. Good to know. And the last thing that I want to add here is the unmonitored services, because I mentioned it earlier. You should add all your interfaces. And now I'm doing something that is maybe a little bit legacy. I will link an existing view because that's sometimes the best thing to do. And I want to link the unmonitored services because someone else made already, made already the work for me and created a view that displays exactly this the information that I want to see. So in here, let's go a little bit higher, and then we can have more space in here. Please be patient if it's not perfect right now. It will be better later, I promise. So now we have a little bit more space in here. So why are there not shown unmonitored services? Because I filtered the switches, but I wanted to show you how it looks like when there is data in there. So now I can see there's an interface that is not monitored yet. And according to my colleague, that's a very bad idea. So I could just fix that by clicking here on the button and open the discovery for the services. And one last thing is missing in my dashboard. You saw it already here and on this part when I was trying to align all these dashlets to each other, and it has been a very hard work. So my suggestion to you is use always the auto width and use it with patience, because it can be a little bit tricky to understand how the dashboard is working. I will show you during the session. So if I now would move this dashlet, for example, you can see it, the other dashlet is automatically expanding or shrinking to fit my dashboard, which makes my life a lot easier because I don't have to care about anymore that there are now empty spaces in my dashboard. And I will do that to all my dashlets. And now I'm using almost everything of my dashboard. And I'm using all of my dashboard all of the time. Okay, I see some glitch here. Now I'm using more of that, regardless of the resolution of my screen. And I have now one dashlet missing and one thing that is not displaying right now, but this is now looking very fancy and colorized and good, but you should never underestimate the good old tables, because good old tables can display structured data in a very good way. So I want to show you an example. We create a new view. So what's the difference of these three things? When I'm already here, I can explain, isn't it? So if you're copying an existing view, you make exactly what it's saying, and you make a copy of an existing view. So I could have just copied these unmonitored services view to make it available in this dashboard. And if the original view has been changed later on, this would not affect my dashboard. That's a good thing, because I want to rely that the display data is always the same. I instead linked it to the existing view. So if the existing view is changing, it will change in my dashboard too. I could also want to have that to be up to date if because the view has been made better than before. And I could implement my own view to display data that is not available in an existing view yet. And I want to do that right now. So I have the same masks or the same forms to fill out. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. Let's take a look. So I want to have all hosts in this case, because I want to show data from hosts in my overview of several network devices or several network hosts. Continue. But I don't want to restrict it to any specific object because it's an overview. And now I'm already in the form to add these things. And now I will rush a little bit. You can watch it later in slow-mo if you want, just to show and explain afterwards. So we want to add several columns. The first column obviously has to be the host name, because I want to know what I want to display. And because it's nice to have colors, I want to colorize this section. Next, I want the good old perfometer, but I need to use a joint column. So what is a joint column? I can, in host tables where I show host information, add joint column that displays service information. That's really nice, especially if you want to display a perfometer. For example, for the service Checkmk. Because if the Checkmk service is critical, your server has not a good time. The next thing I want to add is the uptime, because a good uptime of a network device is always a good thing. And since we are not in the 90s anymore, most of the network devices do have statistics about their CPU utilization, at least the expensive ones. And I want to display that if it's available. We will take a look at it in a few seconds, because I want to add the memory too. And then I'm finished. And to make it better readable, we will sort it by host name. Ooh, that was fast. So to recap, I just added the host name and several perfometers to display. And this does look like this. So now we can go down here. So why am I going down here? Because I want to have a flexible width. It's using all of it, and a flexible height. And I want to show you two things. First of all, I want to show you what is displayed here. So now I have my hosts, and it's already displaying what the state of this host is. And next to it, I can display several performeters. I could display other information from services too, but the performeter is the perfect example to do that. So I displayed the Checkmk service because I want to know if the data has been fetched in a reasonable time, and I want to see how much days my network device is up, and if available, please show me the CPU utilization or memory utilization too. A good thing. I cannot do anything with that right now, so I can see that information. And the second thing I want to show you is, if you design a dashboard in Checkmk, you have to consider some things. In the middle, you should have a fixed size for every dashlet. So please take a look at now. It has an auto width, so it's locked in here. So the position of this dashlet is locked here in the top left. And when I move it, all other dashlets will behave accordingly. But this part is fixed, even if I change my resolution. This part is fixed. Okay, I can see it's not optimized right now, but I guess you get the point. So the second thing is this part is fixed, and the second thing is all edge on the bottom or on the right side of your dashboard should contain data that is able to expand. I did show you that right now. It's a bit too high. Let's go down, and I could just adjust here to make it fit better. But in this part of the dashboard, you need to consider that how it looked like if you have a different screen resolution. If you're designing a dashboard for fixed resolution, you're a lucky guy or woman. But I guess most of you will not be in this comfortable situation. So please consider that. And that's one thing that we can do. And I go again. So this one doesn't look like good. So these graphs are pretty small, these are pretty big. And another tip or another suggestion from my side, if you change carefully the anchor of your dashlet, you can further improve your dashboard. So I changed the anchor and now it's aligned. All these graphs have the same width or share the same width. If I go on a bigger screen, I can see that all of them are now aligned to each other. So that's another trick that you can use. Usually in Checkmk, it's the case that you need to take care that all of your dashlets have the same side, so left or right, in one column, and have the same box. So these 5 dashlets will share, so to say, a box together. So if the screen size gets bigger or smaller, they will align accordingly. These will not, because these are limited to these 5 graph box. But it can make your life much easier. Okay, let's take a look at our dashboard again. So we have nice graphs. You can see there has been some errors, and we have nice hexagons with colors in here, and we can click on here into a particular host. So if you take a look, I can see, okay, this action point has a warning. You can click it and you get to the well-known table. So this one is occasionally just the one where I remove the interface to show you a good dashboard.
Marcel, can we answer some questions?
Yes, that's a good time to answer some questions.
Yeah. So Ian is asking, is there any way to have a topology group of devices on the dashboard, like 3 firewalls or like 10 servers?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. So the question could be that you want to see something similar like this one. It's moving nicely. So a dependency. So I did not configure any dependency on these hosts in this example instance of Checkmk. But you could, if you want to, and could display it in here. So is the question that you want to display this data in the dashboard, or is the question another one?
It's from YouTube, so might be some delay again.
Some
So maybe
delay
he
again,
can,
okay.
yeah. So maybe he can explain that further later. But then we have another one from Bazen again. So
Yes.
not sure if you already showed it, but can I base the color on something? For example, in your network equipment, right bottom, can you change color to red if something hit a value, or instead of red, purple?
So if this host, I'm not sure if I understand the question, but I have an idea. So this host is actually green right now. Everyone can see that. So if I would be a bad guy and fake a check result and say this should be down, and say this host is down. So let's go fastly to our network overview. Oh, can I see it? No, it's already up again. Then you would see that it is red. So the color is changing according to the state of the host, not according to the state of the service. But I'm not sure if this was the complete question, because he mentioned something about services and purple. I don't know why he wants things to be purple, but
Right. Yeah, but as for Ian, so he updated that, yes, the topology to display in the dashboard.
I'm pretty sure that this is not possible right now. I can try. If you find here the network topology, then it's possible, but I do not find it, and so it is currently not possible to implement the network topology to a dashboard. Some of you may know that the network topology has been a dashboard in the earlier days too, but is now its own view. So this is an own type of view, like we have some others, availability, for example. And currently this kind of view is not implementable in Checkmk. Besides, it may be possible to add as a custom URL. That could be possible, but since we have already 7:30 p.m., I hope you understand that I don't want to try that and lose 5 to 10 minutes.
Ian says thanks for your answer.
Okay, so maybe that's answering the question. So in first place, I showed that I show it again in Linux hosts. When we open that, we see an overview of the Linux hosts, and I have a quite similar Dashlet in here. And as you can see, I added some two more columns in here, and these columns are displaying the vendor and the version of the operating system. So you are not only able to display performance data like I did in the network dashboard, but also able to display inventory data in this view. And this is quite useful, especially in this case, as you want to see what kind of Linux hosts am I dealing with. So if you have a very homogeneous environment where you just use Debian or just use Ubuntu or Red Hat Enterprise Linux, you can see on one view if your operating systems are up to date. In this case, you can see that a particular host is running on Debian 9. That's pretty old. And you had the links in this host and displaying the IP address if I hover over it. And these are features that are missed quite often in Checkmk. You use it every day, maybe, because on the built-in views, we use it quite heavily. But if you build your own views, you miss that often. And we did not this year. Okay. You could use several information. So when I hover over, I know you cannot see that. If I hover over Debian, you have to believe me in this case. I can see that it is the name of the operating system. And when I hover over Ubuntu, for example, I see that it is not only 2004, but the patch 3 LTS version. Or if I hover over the version, I can see the kernel version. And you can add that. You can see it as well, because I had a session today where someone could not see that. That's
I have very good
awkward.
eyes.
I know. But I didn't know that you had so good eyes. So when I want to, since we are already on 7:30 p.m., so you have a link and you have a tooltip. And let's take a look what I used for a tooltip in this particular dashboard. And you could obviously the first thing you may think of would be the IP address. But that's boring. So what else could we add as a tooltip when we hover over the host name? I give you some seconds to think about it. What could you think of? I will scroll a little bit through the list. Docker node.
Almost as an answer. Host status graph.
Tooltip on IP status, hover shows the alias name. Yeah, that could be. Unfortunately, I don't use the alias as far as I know in this session, but that could be something. The host status graph, someone else mentioned. Host graph. But since I'm showing these examples on the Enterprise Edition, we use SmartPing, and the SmartPing unfortunately does not create any graphs. So I think that this is not working, but it's a good thing. That could be the hover. We have some cryptic names. And in this case, the alias could be the best solution. If you hover over it, you see the host alias. Or we could show the host groups. The contact is, in my example, I shows the contact groups that is this host is belonging to. So I fastly get to know who's responsible for this particular host and who I can call if the host is has a problem. but I know that most of the time it's me and myself who's responsible for the host. So finally, we could add anything here, anything information that is available in the host table. And we can also add a link. We can add a link to the view. You all know that. If you click on something, you get to a new view or somewhere else. But we could also add a dashboard. That's cool. We could add a dashboard. I prepared something, for example, to a specific dashboard for my network device. I will add the alias as mentioned. Go back to the screen, and now you can see the entries in this column are clickable. And if I stay over one, I see the alias. As I said, it's the same. I did not make any alias for this. But now, if I'm clicking on here, I come to a new dashboard. It could be any dashboard that you choose, or it could be a new view, and you should use that heavily in your dashboards, because your dashboard is an entry point for further information. I will go back to show it again because it's so cool. You can add links in here in views. You already know that the hexagons have links inherited, but you could also add links to the titles of your dashlet. So if I, let's get a nice one, maybe this one. So if you go to a dashlet and you want to add a link, so now I'm in the situation where I need to find a link, host groups. Yeah, let's use this link view by new. It's like I have no idea if this is working. And now the title of the dashlet is clickable. So if I click on it, oops. Yeah, it's not working, but I guess you get the point in this case. So you can make everything in here, every title a link. In this case, I made a link to the dashboard to see a more insight of this particular host. You can see here I did another dashboard already prepared with the standard graphs, performance graphs that each interface has. And if you go over a graph, you see the details of these interfaces. So if you, just an example, would add a link up here, you could link it to another dashboard that is displaying much more details for the bandwidth of this of the interfaces of this host. Or if you click on the packets and so on and so on, I guess you get the point. To click here through the dashboards and get further into details of a particular problem or a particular thing that you are interested in. Another thing that you can see here is the single metric on the left side, just to mention that you can display several things. In this case, I displayed the agent execution time because I want to know how long it took to fetch the information that is displayed here. And on the bottom left, we can see an inventory table that is also displayable in a dashboard. So natively, you don't need a special dashlet for that, or dashboard element. One thing that is new that is showing in here is that we will be able in 2.1 to display inventory data in a dashboard. So in this case, I displayed the number of interfaces and the number of ports of this particular device. And I added already a lot of things to the possibilities, a lot of possibles, to display some stuff. Don't worry if you take if you want to try it out on a daily build, you won't find the device name Dashlet or entry because I added that about 2 hours before. So it's not already implemented, but I guess some of these things will come into the product in 2.1. Maybe not all. So now I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, so there's some question. I'm not sure if it is already answered by your the previous demo. So what graph are there where you can click on it and see things in more detail, but still stay in the dashboard? For example, list of all OS. If you click on Debian, see all the host name that run Debian.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't follow you.
Oh,
The thing that you showed where you said nobody can see it besides you, everybody was able to see exactly that thing. You remember when you had the list with your Debian and all the operating systems, and you hovered over the list?
So
yes.
You want to have it here? You mean that? And when I hover over, for example, 2004.
He was wondering how does that work, or where can he build that himself?
Okay.
What graph are there where you can do that?
Yeah, I explained that, but maybe it was a little bit too fast. So I hover over here and I see the kernel version of this particular host as an additional information. And I did that. That's a basic feature of Checkmk. And the question tells me that I'm right, that everybody is missing that feature. If I go here and take a look for operating system version, so this column, I'm using the operating system version. I'm using the short title, so just version. And this one I explained, can add a link to different views or dashboards, but I can also add a tooltip. And in this case, I added the tooltip of the kernel version of this host. So I actually can display two information in the same column. One information is displayed permanently, and the other information is displayed when I hover, when I go with the mouse over the information, like it's doing right now, at least at my screen, giving a hint in case the tooltip description is too long for the box. I get a name again as a tooltip, and the same functionality applies to this view. So if I go over here, I get the IP address of the host, because I said if I hover over the host name, please give me the IP address. If I hover over the version of my Linux system, I get the kernel version, and I could do the same for any column in here. So for a lot of columns, I did that not at the moment, but it's possible in general.
Okay, Basin said like maybe he needs to change the question. Okay. Yeah, maybe he will get back to, okay, he can, yeah, okay, he has a follow-up. Can you make the tooltip so that it will give you a list of all the Debian hosts? And it's still related to his question, previous one.
The tooltip to give me a list of all the Debian hosts. No. I guess the answer is no. In a tooltip, you can only display a particular information for the requested object. So in this case, I can only display context information for the local host, for example. So if I have a tooltip in here, I cannot display information of other hosts in the tooltip because I'm just looking for a particular host in the data. On the other side, I could, of course, make a view to display only Debian hosts, but then I would have to filter and take. Let's take a look if that's possible. Maybe I'm finding that very fast. So if I add the filter operating system vendor and I type in here Debian and apply, and then suddenly all my dashboard is broken, but on the bottom only my Debian hosts are shown. Don't take a look at the red stuff. So you can filter by that. I will remove that. Oops, now I broke everything. I removed the wrong filter. Let's fix that. You can filter by that, but you cannot make it a hover over a host because the host is just displaying host information.
Right. Yeah, he will do, he says. So, I think it was a reply from another person. So, Pepperlated, it said that create a host group Debian hosts if you need a list of all Debian hosts.
Yeah, you could do that, but you also could just filter, use the filter I just have shown, and use it in the view itself. So I could use it here too. So if my laptop is getting slow. Something is wrong. No. What I was looking for, vendor, operating system, add a filter, and type in here Debian. So if you want to filter for specific types of Linux, you could also do that and just distinct between Debian, for example, and Red Hat-based systems. Martin said it would be nicer, for example,
no, that's not related
just...
to that. That's related to Christopher's comment.
Okay. Because I don't know if this is related, but the number of cores is able from 2.1 on, as it is inventory content. We are able to display the number of cores or the number of interfaces installed RAM, but in this case, this is from the service and some other information.
Dirk has a question. So a host is a single device. So I need for every host one dashboard as a single device. There is no template function for dashboards.
So I did not make any previews before, but you can see it in here. I have one dashboard for my generic overview and one dashboard for my single overview. So I don't need to create a dashboard for each host, but I can use the same dashboard for every, in this case, Linux host. Let me show you that again, maybe on another way. So if you rewatch the video later, if you do that, you can see different ways how to get the same result. So I go again to my workstation, example workstation, and now I have my context menu up here. And on the hosts, I see in the overview my single Linux host. And now I can see an overview of my single Linux host. So I get this dashboard. And if I want to change, I can just change it to my Oracle server. Apply, and you get the same dashboard with different information and the information of my Oracle server. I hope that answers the question.
And if I may chime in there, I think we had just right in the beginning, we had the question about whether this kind of dashboard can be used with variables or something.
Yes.
We answered that, of course, but I think the idea was something like in Grafana, where you have a link and you can just fill in some variables, and you could even do that here. I mean, you can see the whole URL, and if you're looking at the host name, you can see that the host name is somewhere in the URL. So in principle, you could enter the host name there.
Yes, the things that you achieve are quite the same. So, but we use different terms. In terms of what you mentioned, Grafana, you would say we want to use variables.
Yeah.
I need to think about how to tell it, but in Checkmk we don't need variables because we have a better mechanic. We have the mechanic of the filters. We can just change the host that we want to display. Do I have a false host? Yeah, I had the old Prometheus machine. So the effect and the use case is the same as for variables, but much more effective because you can choose which variables you want to use, and you saw it before, a very huge list of possible variables that you could use to restrict the results or to restrict which server is shown on a dashboard. And again, this is a single dashboard. I created it once, and I can change the context as often as I want. And the same goes for the network overview. I did an example before. Looks quite the same. And again, this is one dashboard, but I can display the content of several groups of hosts in this dashboard. I don't need to create another dashboard to display my access points. I just need to create another dashboard if I want to display another data or in a different order. So 7 minutes left.
Yeah, we have some more questions.
Yes.
So is it possible to merge same services of different hosts into one chart?
Same services of different hosts. So that's exactly what we do here. For example, we have in this graph, you don't see it because it's aggregated, but in this graph are 179 metrics consolidated. In this graph, there is only one metric consolidated, but just because there's at the moment there's only one service that is not okay. If I change the context and go to the network again, the thing will change, hopefully. So here I get a lot of more services shown. So the idea is that you can add a link on the title, so you can enrich that title with a link and go to another dashboard or maybe view where you can take a closer look at this graph with the context. And so I'm missing the term at the moment to further investigate your problems or investigate the things you saw in this graph. So absolutely, it's possible to display several metrics of different services and different hosts in one graph.
Right. So there's another one.
Yes.
How do we make a graph default? So for example, click on this host and instead of going to services, go to the dashboard. For example, in a single Linux host.
You have to guide me a little bit. So the question is, I have this overview. And
I think the question is how to replace our default services of host view of the host, if I got that right.
So you want to, Faye, you have to guide me. I think Robin is right. So I have this classic Theo, and he wants to click on something and does not want to get to place A, but to a dashboard. Is that right?
I think he corrected himself, like make a dashboard default.
Make a dashboard default. So let's try that. Linux hosts overview. Copy. So if you log in, you want to have a custom dashboard. Is that right? I know there's a delay. So if I click here,
okay, so for example, when you go to monitor and then all hosts, click on a host, this goes to the dashboard instead of services.
Yes, it does right now. If I click on the host, it goes to the dashboard of the host and not to the services. I could also implement, of course, somewhere in this dashboard a link, for example, the host name or something else, data source status, which is linked to the classic service table that we use. And CCOX is right. Of course, you could also add it to a context menu as a custom action and add a link to this action. But I would not. I would be careful with that because if you have one or two dashboards, that's fine. But if you have 20 dashboards, it's a little bit overwhelming if you have 20 entries or more on the context menu. But as I said, use your possibilities as good as possible. Use the links in the Dashlet names. Use all the possibilities in the classic table views to display data like here for the file systems sorted. I know there's a graphic glitch. Use the possibilities to display performeters in the tables, and yes, I guess I finished my speak.
Right. Yeah, so maybe a round of last questions, right? Or do you have anything to share more, like how they can get in touch with you if they want to give some feedback on the dashboards?
Yeah, I made before I made some just to work a little bit with that because I did not do a network dashboard before, but you saw them now quite often. I did an overview of the network devices. I did an overview of the Linux hosts, and I did two another views for particular devices. And maybe we can share that in the forum. Is it possible? make a screenshot of each view, and maybe you can give us some feedback. How you do you like these dashboards? What do you like about it? What do you dislike about it? What would you expect from such dashboards if they would be, for example, built in Checkmk? That would be nice.
Right. We'll make a post about this, and hopefully, yeah, you can share your feedback. So,
Yes.
last question, maybe, because already 8 o'clock. What about sharing and importing or exporting dashboards?
Yes, I will try to do a magic trick, and hopefully I will get some. Was heißt Beifall auf Englisch? Applause. I will try to provide these 4 dashboards as an MKP in the forum, so that would make it easier for you to give us feedback. Are we in the right direction, or what is wrong with the current approach or with the current views of these dashboards? And it would also make it easier for yourself to experiment with these dashboards we built today. So we built just one dashboard, but I showed you the result of 3 others. So you could just copy them, change them, experiment a little bit, and maybe that's helping you too, because as always, practice is the best, and practice makes the master. So do we have
Right.
more
Yes.
questions?
Right. I think that's all. Let me just take a quick look. Yes, I think that's all.
Well,
Yes. Right. So thank you so much, Marcel, for showing us all these things. Yeah, it has been a great interaction, I would say. We had the great feedback from everyone, help us build a dashboard from scratch. And it's great that it worked out well.
it's nice to hear, and I'm happy that most of the things worked well. I also achieved it. I changed, while you have been reading the questions, I changed the entry point of my profile. So if I click here or log in, I will not get to the main dashboard anymore, but to my Linux host overview. For those of you who didn't saw that, I got to user edit profile and just added here the name of the dashboard I want to display when I log in or when I click on the logo up here. So this makes the life for specialized technicians a lot easier. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for the participating. That's, I think, one of the most important things in a community call.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope you liked it as much as I did.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone. And we have a small feedback form so that you can share with us how we can improve this community call so that we can also have more topics in the future. So feel free to give us ideas on what you would like to see next.
Me too.
Okay, then. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye and see you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.